How did you get into dyeing?
Many moons ago, I would, I was always working some crappy job, but I'd come home to my knitting and I wanted to dye my own for a little while. So I would actually, I was at Sock Summit. Does anybody remember Sock Summit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Sock Summit was so wonderful. Oh, fantastic.
Mhm.
Anyways, there were people there. It was a fiber festival, but it was all based around like socks and sock knitting and sock yarns, and it was so good. And there were vendors there that would sell you undyed sock yarn so you could dye your own. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I'm gonna go try this. So I bought a bunch and came home and used Kool-Aid
Mhm.
and Easter egg dyes. Easter egg dyes are really good. Oh, such great color. And you can take, so they're usually these little pills, that come in this huge packet, which is like a problem right there. But anyways, these little teeny pills, and you can break them up with like a spoon just on a plate, and they turn into nice little dye. And you can mix the little dyes in different combinations. And so I would play with that and make just crazy, neon rainbow socks. And I was like, wow, this is so much fun. And I did that for years, just in my kitchen, just for me, just learning about different ways of dyeing and reading on the internet and reading books in the library about, the mordants and the acids and the all that stuff. And then I was driving a bus for TriMet, and then all of a sudden there was this ad saying, I want to sell my yarn business. Anybody want to buy it? And I said, me? Yes, of course, I would love to buy this yarn business. So called her up and visited her, and she said, all right, let's do it. Because she'd had other people who were interested. One woman was pregnant. She was like 7 months pregnant. And the owner, she was like, no, I'm not selling you a business when you're that much pregnant. And somebody else, I don't know, they were like people that had all this weird stuff going on that were not quite reliable. And I had saved up all this TriMet money, and I don't have kids, and I mean I have a kid, but he's grown and moved out, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. This is a dream of mine. I've been wanting to do this for real for a long time. And she had she had a proprietary way of doing her dyes, because, if you look at yarn these days, a lot of them are these, there's a lot of speckles and a lot of white space in the skeins that you see. But hers are really intense color. Like all the colors she has are really intense. So like, for example, I was just playing with this. This was a sample that I got from the wool company that I buy stuff for. It's Wool to Die For. When you buy a lot of stuff from them, they'll throw in a sample skein. So they threw in this. What is this? This is 69% silk, 22% kid mohair, and 9% nylon. So really soft and shiny and foofy and fun. And I have a lot of white space in this. I was just playing. It was a sample. I was like, I don't care. So you can see like this is going to come out very, lots of different in and out kind of colors, right? But let's see. And I did this. This is another sample. This is 100% superwash merino. Just some sock yarn that they gave me as a sample. And I did this with a lot of white space, but a little more intense white space, right? But you can see lots of white in there, right? So that's what a lot of, when you go to indie dyers these days, they're going to be, lots of creative, fun, speckly things. Whereas abstract fiber, let's see. There's not any white space in here. Look at that. That is full on color. Every inch of every space of everything is all color. And that was her system, was really intense, really deep, just like in your face color, wall to wall color. And so she had a way of doing that, and she showed me how to do that, and she gave me recipes. And that was it. And I paid her some money. And I was done. Because she so she had fallen down the stairs and broke her back and tore her Achilles tendons. And she had this huge scar on her calf, you know, from the bottom of her heel up her calf. She wore shorts one day, and there was this on both of her legs, just these horrible, horrible scars on there. And for months and months and months, she couldn't walk. She couldn't get out of bed. And so she needed someone to take over the business. So I was like, all right, might as well be me. So I'm keeping a lot of these colors, these very intense, deep, brilliant colors, because there's not a lot of indie dyers that I see. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. But I see a lot more people that are doing this, with white and, not really repeatable kinds of stuff, as opposed to this, which is really intense and deep. But I don't know, this is kind of fun.
So how do you plan how much you're going to do of one color? How do you stay consistent as much as you can in a color? What quantities do you want to produce? I mean, talk about production and dye lots, which I know don't exist, but along that, can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah. Well, there is a way to sort of, it's the same colors, and I do them in the same way, but you never know, some of the brown can sneak over here, and some of the gold can go over there, and so each skein could be a scooch different, but I try to be as consistent as I can with each colorway. Yeah, and like the red, that's not going anywhere. People love that red. Yeah. There's no way. I can't get rid of the red. It's just too popular. People love it, and it's a cool red. So obviously stuff like the red and Laurelhurst colorway. There's the red. There you go. So the red and Laurelhurst, Deschutes. There's 5 or 10 colorways that I'm just gonna have to keep because they're really popular. People like them. People want them, and I'm not gonna deprive people. That would be mean, right? So when I'm deciding, when I'm getting ready to go to a 5 or 5, there you go, right?
Laurelhurst Deschutes.
Right, those are the colorways.
I love Deschutes too. Yeah,
right.
Don't ever that one either.
No, not getting rid of that. So I'm getting ready.
I was involved in the designing of the shoots.
Really?
Yeah. So Susan was doing the shop yarn for Yarntastic, for Yarn Crawl, and I was designing the pattern. And I was doing an Eastern Oregon theme, and I was sending Susan photos, and we were, so I have a very special feeling about the shoots.
All right, then.
Good. Let's hear it for the shoots.
Yay. Yeah, it's a good colorway.
It is.
Really good colorway. So that's what I do when I'm getting ready for a show. I think, okay, how much Deschutes do I need? How much Laurelhurst do I need? How much red? How much whatever? All those popular colorways. I go through and I look. Well, I already have, 5 Laurelhurst and something, so I don't need to do that, or that kind of thing. Just kind of deciding what popular colors that I need to bring along with me. And I'll go through, what's the popular yarns that are, we've got Temptation and Super Sock and, so fingering weight, worsted weight. For some reason, Sport, not a big seller. I don't know what that's all about.
It's
I
not
like sport weight.
just in
Or
patterns.
this is DK, like maybe
Yeah,
they're
DK.
similar. So, or are you talking about DK?
No, sport weight. Like
Yeah.
the
Okay.
sport weight is just it. I tried selling that for a while, and it sat there for a year.
Mm.
Well,
And I'm like,
I think Case stole sports name, in my opinion. There's such a slight difference. That's just my opinion. But for years and years and years, there was only sport. And then you went to the UK, and all the sport yarn gauges were called DK
yeah,
in England. And then all of a sudden, it became fashionable to call basically the sport gauge DK. So
Yeah.
personally, I don't think there's a big difference between sport.
They overlap in thickness.
Right.
and
Uh,
depends on the color
Not
too.
fashion knit with sport right now. In my humble opinion.
Well, it also goes by pattern too. Like you can find designers that 9 times out of 10 they're going to use fingering over work. Like if they're the yoke sweaters are all the rage, right? So you got to look at who's making their yoke sweaters in fingering versus worsted, you know. And like Jennifer Steinglass,
Gas.
Knit Wool Love, I think is her
I have one of her
name, whatever. I think a lot of her patterns, she's very, yeah, there you go. Nice.
Oh, I love that one.
Mm.
Yeah. She's a really good designer. I really like her stuff. She, but she does a lot of stuff in fingering weight. Oh, let's see, this one. So there's a couple. I did this in worsted weight.
Mm.
And this, I think, is called winter. No, wait. Oh, shoot. I can't even remember now. I don't have my little label. But anyways, this is one of like 2 or 3 that she has in worsted weight. So I have to balance like, okay, I have a sample of this. So I'm going to make these colors and then put the sample out and see if I can sell those. So that's another decision I make is like, what do I have in samples? You know, if I don't have enough samples of something, then people are going to come up and say, oh, this is lovely. Do you have anything knit in this? No, I'm sorry. So I have to think about that when I'm getting ready for a show is like, how quickly can I get someone like Fuchsia who knits really fast to knit something up for me in a sample? And it's usually going to be like a kid size or like this thing does not actually fit on an adult sized body. It's just a small, like if you got this around a kid's head, you'd be lucky to do, it's just a small, it's basically a swatch, right? So if I can knit a bunch of these and enough different colors, then I'll dye up those colorways, lots in those colorways. So that's like a second thing. So first thing is like what's popular. Second is what do I have in a sample? Then the other thing is what other things are popular? Like the woolly wormhead for a time, she was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I started knitting that little woolly wormhead thing. And then pandemic happened. So that was going to be my next thing at, I don't know, what was the next show?
Black sheep.
Black Sheep. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I got plenty of time. And then Black Sheep canceled. But so I'm dyeing up a new colorway for that, and so that would be something to focus on. It's like, what do I have that's popular? What do I already have? And then what new things can I make? So there's a lot of different decision-making processes that go through what I decide to dye, and how much time I have to dye all those things. If I have a couple of months, then I've got plenty of time to dye my popular colors and my sample colors, and then not as much time to create new things. That's always my time crunch, is trying to create something new. There's never seems to be enough time to new things.